Well, they definitely weren't lying when they said it happens really fast. And what am I talking about, you ask? Raising your kids. It happens fast, man. Uh, when became a father, I was told cherish every little moment that you can, and remind yourself on days where you're tired or when you don't want to be bothered or when your kids want some affection from you or they want to go outside and throw the ball around or they want to hang out with you, go see a movie, go do all these things. Like, cherish those moments and make sure that you take advantage of them because they fly by really fast. And I wanted to share with you guys on this episode. Um, I had a moment the other day that brought that reality to the forefront for me. And the other day, my kids are on holiday vacation now. And the other day I brought up, hey, maybe during the vacation, we go on a hike. If you've been following me here, you know that we would hike regularly. Um, and then baseball just really picked up playing year round and traveling. It's just been really hard for us to get one in. But I brought this up, and the response I got was kind of, I mean, I'm always going to be straight with you guys here. It was shocking. My oldest said, you know, I'm good, Dad. And I'm like, why? I'm like, you don't want to go for a hike? He's like, I don't really like hiking like I used to. And I was like, are you serious? And he was like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't really like hiking like I used to. And I was stuck for a minute. I couldn't believe I got that answer from him. And then I asked my younger son when he walked up, I said, hey, your brother said he doesn't want to go on a hike. You want to go on a hike? He's like, eh. He goes, maybe a short one. I don't want to go on a long one like we used to. And I was like, wow, things are changing. And that moment made me, I'd be lying to you if I told you that I wasn't in my feelings after that. I'm a dad, my kids are teenagers now. And I've always been told that once they become teenagers, and I know because I did this when I was a teenager, but I was always told that when they become teenagers, they start to kind of go through this phase where they want to be by themselves. They want to do their own thing. And maybe hanging out with dad isn't so cool anymore. Or the things that they used to do with you when they were younger are not really cool. They want to do other things now. So I'd be I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't in my feelings after that, because it was a harsh reality of understanding that, wow, my kids, we are here at this moment now where things are changing. Um, and I think they both seen it, but I think Jordan probably saw it more because he said, Dad, I'll go with you." And I'm like, "No, it's cool." I said, "Maybe I'll just go by myself." And he was like, "No, no, Dad, I'll go with you." But I think he saw it because I got quiet, and I got up and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to work." And he's like, "Dad, are you good?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." And I got in my car and it hit me, man. I'm like, damn, I knew it was gonna come fast, but I didn't know it was gonna come that fast. I mean, my kid just turned 15. My other kid just turned 13. But it's happening fast. And then I started to really sit back in my car and start to think, dude, Jordan graduates in 2 years. Dude, Jaden is in high school next year, and then he's graduating in 4 years. It's going to fly by. And it's hard. It's hard to accept. Um, I have put myself on the back burner to try my best to give them everything I got, you know, um, because I think, not that I think, I know that's what we're supposed to do as parents, as fathers. Um, but I am having to recalibrate and reset and step back up and start to change some things to make sure we're back on point. Um, a lot of things have slipped, man. I'll be honest with you. A lot of things have slipped because of our schedules. Um, we have tournaments damn near every weekend, and that has affected us going to church. That has affected us doing our Sunday Bible study. Um, and that is something that's on my list starting this weekend coming up, to get back on track. It's because I have to do that as a father. I don't, nothing bad is happening, but I do see little signs of where we're kind of falling off the tracks a little bit. And I don't want that to happen, to a bigger extent, to where things start to fall apart. So I need to get back on that. But I've also told my kids, listen, I'm okay with you guys not wanting to do certain things, but there are certain things that we're going to do, whether you want to do them or not, because that's just what it is. You know what I mean? You're still my sons, and there's still things that I gotta get you guys to do. Now I have to give in also, as your father. I have to give in and understand that you guys are growing and you have your own things that you want to do. So there are things that I have to give in on, but I can't give in on everything, guys. You know what I mean? I've also had moments where, my kids, have been, I don't really want to go to the gym today. I'm tired, this and this and that. And I'll let them slip up, and then they notice, oh man, I'm not working hard. I see dad in there, or I see my brother in there, not me, or vice versa. Because there are times when one will come with me and one won't, but they're starting to see it. So I'm trying to push them. They were doing jujitsu for a while. They wanted to step away from jujitsu because they were getting some minor injuries that was kind of hindering their baseball. And you guys know that baseball is their world. That's what they do. So that it was kind of affecting them playing baseball because they've had nagging injuries due to jiu-jitsu. So I've tried to get them back into that as well, but they've shied away from it due to that fact. So I'm having to find a fine line to balance pushing them, but not pushing them away, because they're already slowly going away just due to growing up. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of dads who are probably listening to this right now understand what I'm going through, because you're probably going through it yourself with your teenagers. And if you're not, and you are a father and your kids are still young, I promise you it is coming. And I think what I could tell you is it's important for you to understand that, yes, they are growing, and yes, they need their space, but you also have to it's smart to compromise on some things, but it's also smart to put your foot down on a few things as well, because there are things that you still have to teach these kids, that you still have to show them and do with them. And I think they need to have a healthy understanding that, yes, I'll give you this, but you got to give me this. All right. We got to meet somewhere in the middle. And that's what I'm doing with both my teenage sons right now. And if I could give that information to you, I hope you take it, receive it, and learn from it. Because for me, this is new ground. Like I said, I've been talked to about it. I've been warned about it. I knew it was coming. I just didn't think it was coming so fast. My son's going to the mall with his friends by himself now. Um, you know, uh, they're going over to their friend's house and hanging out. Hey dad, can I go watch the UFC fights at my friend's house? So I'm having to, you know, check with the parents, make sure they're cool. I'm having to make sure the parents are going to be there so the boys aren't doing any funny stuff. I'm having my son put on his location, not because I want to make sure and be some crazy parent, but we're definitely in times where things happen and you want to make sure your kids are okay. So I'm having to do that. Just a lot of different things, man. Having to loosen up the reins a little bit so they can go out and enjoy themselves. Um, I just recently had a trip. I think I told you guys on the last podcast about, baseball and going to Vegas. And I realized that, man, I got teenagers now. I'm coaching teenagers. There's a lot of foul language, and I have to buckle down. And I just told my son this. I said, the one thing that I'm not happy with about this last coaching season is I think I was a little loose with regards to the language. And I think that I probably have to set a better example, and I have to put my foot down and tighten things up, because I don't think it was tight enough. I understand they're teenagers, and with sports, you know, you get a little upset, you cuss here and there, but I think for the most part, it was a little out of hand, and I think that I needed to control that a little bit more. So, man, I am learning. It's not easy, but I'm up for the challenge, and that starts with me. So I'm going into a new baseball season at the high school that I am coaching baseball at this year, and it starts next week. We're doing weight training and doing, one-on-one trainings and four-on-one trainings and stuff like that. And then end of January, we go into tryouts and then get right into the season. So I think it's going to start with this team where I'm just going to have to, put my foot down and make sure that they understand that, hey, there are repercussions for foul language and attitude and whatnot. And it starts with me. I have to be the example. My coaching staff has to be example, and I have to be an example at home. Because I'm a man. I'm honest. I have slipped up, and my language hasn't been the best over the last, I don't know, 6 to 9 months. It's just got to get better. So I'm working on that. The other thing I've been trying to tell you guys, or what I want to tell you guys, is I've gotten back to journaling. My book right here. So I've gotten back to doing journaling and try to wake up in the morning. Let me see. Write down how I'm feeling that morning, and then list 3 things that I'm thankful for. And this morning I'm thankful for my kids, my peace, and having another day. And then I wrote a short entry, but I'm getting back to doing that, and just to kind of clear my mind and get my thoughts going, to start the day on the right foot. I've got a whiteboard here that I always refer to, and I've changed it up a bit. And what I have up there now is remember who you are. And I wrote down all the things that remind me who I am. I'm a coach, I'm a father, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a mentor. I do furniture restoration. I'm an artist. I do all these things. I have to remind myself, and more importantly, outside of being a father, I'm a follower of Christ, and I have to get back into that and dig deep into that, and more importantly, not give up on myself. There are times when you, as a father, when things don't go well and things are kind of overwhelming, that you almost step aside and be like, man, am I failing? Why does this feel so hard? And it is hard. Being a father is hard. It's not easy. Being a father is difficult. I think that's why so many people fail at it. And there are times that, you feel like, gosh, I want to give up. But I write stuff like this on my board to remind myself, don't give up. You're doing fine. You're awake for another day. There's something you got to do. And I don't know. I hope this message hits you guys, and I hope that if there's a father out there that maybe is in that situation right now, maybe you're questioning what you're doing, or you don't feel like you're up to par, it's not too late to get it back in gear, and to tell yourself, like, hey man, you're okay, you're up, you're working, you got, your kids love you, and maybe you don't have the most money in the world, maybe you don't have, the best situation with regards to transportation or whatever it is you got going on, but you're up and you're still in the fight. And when you're up and you're still in the fight, you have a chance to be great. All right. I'm telling you this because I have to remind myself this all the time. I do. I've been contacted by people from my past recently, which is wild, and a lot of it has to do with music. And and a few of them I've just told, like, hey, I don't really want to discuss music. That was a very different time for me, and I don't feel like going back there. Because from time to time I go back and I do listen to some of my music, and Some of it I like, some of it I'm like, what were you thinking? And I wasn't. I was young. I was just kind of firing off, saying whatever I wanted to say, and that's not who I am nowadays. And so when I run into people who talk to me about that stuff, I don't really want to talk about music in the past and all that. I kind of want to just talk right now about what's going on with me now. And I like where I'm at right now. It can always be better, but I like where I'm at right now. So I say that to say this. Remind yourself, if you get in a position where you're doubting yourself, where you're unsure about what's going on with you, your family, your kids, whatever, remind yourself who you are. Write it down. Get a whiteboard, get a notepad, write down. Remind yourself. Remind yourself of all the things that you do. Okay? Maybe you're very talented. You have all these different skills that you have. Write those things down. Tell yourself who you are. Remind yourself. I have to do it all the time. If you're struggling financially, I'm not in the best place financially right now, but I have to remind myself, what are all the things that I know how to do to make money? Boom, I start writing them down. And then I start putting those things back to work. I start reminding myself, hey, you can do all these things that will generate an income. Get back on it. Quit being so one-dimensional, because that's what happens when we get in our feelings and we get down. We all of a sudden become one-dimensional and we forget all the things that we are capable of doing. I know, because I do it to myself. So I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I hope you guys understand what I'm telling you. And for dads listening, don't let your teenagers control everything, okay? Give in a bit, but make sure they also give in a bit as well. Don't let your teenagers control how things are going to move forward, all right? Because they're going to say no to everything. But make sure that they understand, like, hey, I love you, and I understand you're growing apart from me because you're just becoming a young man. But there's some things that we still got to do together. All right. And I know maybe you're not looking forward to that, but we just got to do this. This is what we got to do. Okay. I'll give you your space. I'll give you your time to do what you want to do, but you got to give me mine as well. All right. I hope that hits home for you guys. Like I always say, my life isn't perfect. Oftentimes it is a mess, but for me, it is the perfect mess. Peace.